So, let's begin. I say thank you for giving us your time this afternoon. We're going to have an overview of wastewater heat recovery, looking at Recoup's products, starting with the basics of what is and why and how wastewater heat recovery works. Then we'll look at our products and where they are within each market, realistically. Now, wastewater heat recovery technology we found is not really widely known. Recoup have been within the UK market for, I believe it's now 13 years, going back to 2012. But the technology itself actually got a lot longer history. Centre of excellence would be within the Netherlands, where some of our products are produced. Recoup were actually purchased by Myra Showers, part of the larger Kohler Group, a couple of years back, which has allowed us to have some pretty amazing updates, I think, for wastewater heat recovery and potentially game changers that we'll go through this. I've almost gone through this already, but yeah, we're looking at areas such as, we'll start with an introduction of how wastewater heat recovery works, and then look at where it's used. Have a little focus then on new build, with our most used product there, the pipe hex, and its impact in Part L SAP for new build residential. Then look more towards the sort of retrofit market, bathroom upgrades and existing properties. And finally, I've got a little bit on some of our products, or one of our products ranges that's a little bit more of a commercial area, and then we'll have certain time for any questions and discussions towards the end. So we'll start with the very, very basics for you, and how does wastewater heat recovery work? So if we look at the standard showering sort of configuration, when we've got, in this case here, a thermostatic mixer shower, you've got that water heater, be it combi boiler, be it instantaneous water heater, unvented cylinder, HRU, whatever it may be, creating that domestic hot water up to around 55, 60 degrees to go off to that thermostatic mixer shower. Then at that point, a cold main is introduced to be the cold side of that mixer shower, to take it down to a showering temperature that's a bit more pleasant, around that sort of 40, 41 degrees. Now that 40 degree showering temperature goes over us for a split second, but then it goes down the drain without wastewater heat recovery, never to be seen or used again. Now, the thing with that wastewater that's going down the drain there is it's still got between 85 and 90% of that heat energy within it. So if we're working on a shower temperature of around 40 degrees, that's around 35 degree wastewater going down the drain. So in any other area, if we're looking at the fabric of an energy loss of that sort of stage, it would be known as a fairly large thermal bridge. So this is where we introduce wastewater heat recovery. Now, what wastewater heat recovery is a fairly simple heat exchanger technology. What we're doing here is we are recycling and reusing that heat energy from that wastewater. So we're not mixing with it at all. We're not using the grey water itself, just interested in the heat energy from that wastewater. Now we take that through one of our heat exchangers. What you can see there is a little cut through of what is our vertical pipe hex. But they all work in a very similar way, where through the middle of our unit the wastewater flows, and then on the outside we have a cold main within our heat exchanger, which again, through heat transfer, through the length of our exchangers, recovers as much heat from that wastewater as possible, to give us a preheated feed coming out of the end of our units. Now, if we're thinking of a cold main coming into our units at around 10 degrees, by the time it's gone through, in the case of one of our most efficient products, the pipe hex, a floor to ceiling heat exchanger, that can actually come out as preheated feed at around 22, 25. In some cases, we've even seen 28 degrees out the top of that one. So then we have 3 SAP listed installation methods for that as a SAP listed range of products, known as System A, System B, System C. And this is all to do with where we're going to send that preheated feed to. So if we start in reverse order with System C, a little bit of a seldom seen system, but this is where we are simply sending that preheated feed to be that cold inlet on your water heater. So for instance, a combi boiler, if we're looking at a combi boiler, obviously at that point then we're sending a heat feed at around 25 degrees instead of that standard cold main that would have come in at 10. So that domestic hot water is being produced so much more efficiently by that boiler, or as we say, however that whatever type of water heater we've got. Then we've got System B. Now, System B is a system that probably lends itself a little bit more to retrofit because of its ease of installation. That is where we're sending that preheated feed to be the cold side of that thermostatic shower mixer. So in this case, what we're going to do there is we're flipping that ratio of hot to cold required within that mixing valve. So in a standard scenario, as I mentioned, you've got that 55, 60 degree domestic hot water coming from your boiler, and you're using vast majority of that, 60, 70% of that, and you're diluting that almost with the cold main to get that showering temperature of 40. Now we're going to use most of our preheated feed at around that 25 degree mark, and we're just going to top it up with that water from the water heater. So we're almost flipping it from 60-40 one way to 60-40-ish the other way as well. So at that, with that scenario, then we're using less domestic hot water at the shower itself. Now, that is the lesser efficiency system, but as we mentioned earlier there, pipework wise and ease of installation for that one are really advantageous. And then finally, we'll mention System A. Now, System A is where we do a bit of System C and a bit of System B. So we're sending it to that water heater and also to that shower. This makes it the most efficient system. Now, this within any dwelling, you can have a system as System A or System C, sending one to the water heater, but any secondary system would have to be System B. So the real sort of headline figures in terms of energy reduction for this is when we're looking at, for instance, our pipe hex on a System A, so our most efficient product on the most efficient installation system, we can have an energy demand reduction for showers by up to 60%. So very large. Now, currently, we see a few markets for wastewater heat recovery. As I say, within the 12 years that Recoup have been within the UK market, the house builder market has grown massively. Certainly within the last 2 or 3 years, wastewater heat recovery was put within the National Dwelling for Part L SAP 2021 it was now. So we've seen an explosion there with the vast majority of national house builders, the largest national house builders, using wastewater heat recovery within their standard plots. And that doesn't have to be their sort of standard house types anymore, with sort of 2 floors. There are now options for apartments and bungalows with that as well. And then basically we're looking at any area with sort of large shower traffic. So areas such as hotels and student accommodation, we have products that either lend themselves to where central service risers are, or again, we have those horizontal options that are useful for those single-storey dwellings. We are seeing projects in sort of sports and leisure facilities such as gyms and that, with again massive shower traffic, where we have linear wet room drains specified that really give a particularly quick ROI on some of these products as well. And of course, the sort of newest area that we're looking at would be sort of retrofit and existing homes and upgrades such as that. And again, we have now got quite a portfolio of products where the options for sort of retrofit are now large. We're not limited to just one or two now. So it's important, the sort of selling points of wastewater heat recovery. Well, we are a primary demand reduction technology, and domestic hot water is generally forgotten about. Everyone looks at space heating, but I'll show you in a minute how space heating has evolved within sort of the new build market. And we are, as I've mentioned, it's a very simple heat exchanger technology. So we have no moving parts. We are a completely passive system. Within the majority of new build dwellings where they've got wastewater heat recovery, the homeowner wouldn't even realise. We get quite a few phone calls from new homeowners who are potentially registering their product there, who are almost asking us, what is it, where is it, how is it, because they have no idea it's there. And then those sort of headline figures there that I mentioned previously, where energy demand reduction per shower can be up to 60%. So to mention the use of sort of hot water within the home now, we've got a couple of sort of bar charts here where we're looking at 2013 regs as opposed to a house model there in SAP 10.2, which is 2021. So as fabric efficiencies have improved through regulations, the percentage of hot water use within the home has grown. So if we're looking at 2013 there, where we have houses modelled where it's almost a 3/4 to quarter split, we're now actually gone above and beyond that 50-50 split towards hot water. So a massive area that we can look at for energy demand reduction. So if we take those figures from SAP Part L, and look at that sort of 50-50 split between space heating and hot water, then we look at showering. Now, showering would be around 50% of that hot water use per home. And I've already mentioned that showering itself, wasteful concept, goes over us for a split second, goes down the drain. But with that 85% of that heat energy within it. So leaving a large proportion there, 42% in this case, of wasted energy going straight down the drain. Just a couple of key points to look at here for sort of benefits for any project realistically. So the products themselves have a long working span. Bays themselves have a credited wastewater heat recovery with a lifespan of between 40 and 60 years. That's around sort of 60 years for the vertical products, and around 40 for the horizontal. That's mainly because the horizontal products haven't been in the market as much. And that's very much in line with everything within the plumbing infrastructure. So it's not a product that's going to have to be stripped out and replaced every 5, 10, 15 years. Because our products are mainly copper-based, they're all copper-based heat exchangers. It gives us a really low embodied carbon score with cradle-to-cradle manufacturing. And we also offer here a sort of circular economy where if there are any issues on site, that potentially an installation error or something like that, we can offer subcontractors around a £75 credit for a unit, because it is such a highly recyclable product to us. And then certification. So, as I say, we're a SAP listed technology. We're also an SBEM, BREEAM, Passive House, and our products are RAS approved. As well as that, we're looking at products here that have a low installation time and a low disruption installation time as well, if we're looking at retrofit. So we have experienced installers that can first fix our products within the hour for new build. Takes a little bit longer for retrofit, depending on the scenario itself. But all of those installs, we're only needing sort of basic plumbing tools and materials, a couple of isolation valves and a drain-off valve. No specialist training or commissioning is required as well. So as we say, the standard plumber there with the products already sitting on their van will be able to install this quickly. And then once it's installed and set up, there is no planned maintenance over and above a sort of a cleaning routine, which you would normally have with your shower trays anyway. And again, I mentioned earlier, there is no behavioural change at all. It's just going to work there every time for the end user. As I say, majority of end users wouldn't even realise it's there. I mentioned at the start about the sort of hot water production unit, so combi boilers and air source heat pump cylinders and whatnot, HIUs. Now they can all work with wastewater heat recovery or be connected to wastewater heat recovery as long as they can accept a preheated feed. Now within the couple of years I've been at Recoup, I've never known one that can't. So we are fairly confident that most manufacturers can accept it. Now, for the 13 years that Recoup have been within the UK market, we've always been saying that it can only be used with a thermostatic mixer shower to swap that ratio, as I mentioned earlier. However, with development with Myra, Myra have now produced the first electric shower, which is compatible with Recoup's wastewater heat recovery, which is a Myra heat loop, which I'll have a little segment on in a little while. So if we look here at a very brief overview, I'll get myself to the side here, of our sort of product portfolio. Vertical pipes, which I'll go into first. I'll show you their impact within sort of new build sector, because that is a product that the majority of national house builders will have within their standard dwellings now. But where we've got a wider portfolio than some of our competitors, I would say, is that we have a lot more options for where that vertical pipe potentially doesn't work. So if we're looking at the Easy Fit, which is an underbath unit, great for apartments, bungalows where we've got showers over baths. A new product out will be the integrated tray, which is the heat deck. So a 2-for-1 product there. Again, great for sort of single story dwellings, where we've got a shower over shower tray. Our only product that has a pump and any electrical component to it, which is our Pipe Hex Active, which I'll go into a little bit greater detail further on. And then finally our commercial option there for gyms and leisure centres, which is our linear wet room drain range, the Drain Plus. But we're going to start with the Pipe Hex itself. Now, this is our most efficient product, and as you can see there on the right, it's been taken up by the vast majority of the national house builders within their sort of standard spec. Now, this is a floor-to-ceiling 2.1 metre vertical heat exchanger. It is gravity fed, so it's installed on the floor below the outlet. So as you can see there, within a boxing underneath that first floor shower tray. Now, this gets amazing efficiencies through it, and the main reason for that is this clever bit called the turbo rotator at the top. A little video of how it works there. Now that part there brings that water through the unit in a cyclonic motion, so we're clinging to the edge of the heat exchanger rather than going straight through the middle. So it gives us more time within that heat exchanger to extract more heat. Also acts as a very good noise reduction scheme as well, because that water is not plipping straight down the middle. Mentioned how it's a simple first fix installation. I'll show you the product here in our demo room in a minute and really show you how that fits quite snugly. A point to mention with the Pipe Hex, but also with all our products realistically, all Recoup's products have double-walled heat exchangers. Now, you may ask, well, what does that matter? So it allows us to be compliant with EN 1717. But the key point for sort of developers or contractors or anyone realistically is that allows the trap for the outlet to be placed where it should be before our unit. So you trap before our unit, that grey water then goes through our unit and off to the waste, the soil pipe. So that's meaning that you're not needing access past our unit at all. What you will notice there, possibly better to show you on this picture, is the striations through the pipe hex there. Now that gives us a visible leak detection for this product. So if at initial first fix phase, when fitted, there was a perforation between one of the walls of the heat exchanger, once mains was turned on, you'd see a visible leak from the bottom of the unit. So obviously at that point, isolated, can be taken out and replaced. So we're not going to have mixing of that grey and blue water. I think it's best if I take you to the product now and show you. So what you can see here is our little mock boxing, which we take away. There we go, to show you the pipe itself. Now, as I say, in this little mocked up thing, we've got effectively a first floor shower tray there at the top, feeding down into our unit there. And now this has been set up as we'd standardly see, with the pipe itself running parallel with an internal saw pipe. So in this case we have at the bottom cold main coming in. What I mentioned there, if any of you've got any experience of our products at all there, this is a new development, a new continuous improvement. We've had feedback from some installers around the connection at the bottom of our, bottom and the top of our unit, should I say, where we used to just have a standard plastic female line coming off for the contractor themselves to add a male line, usually a brass male line. Brass into plastic isn't the easiest way to create a fitting without cross-threading. So now this product here actually comes with this plastic John Guest push fit fitting at the bottom and top. So if we're going up the unit there towards the top as well, you see the full bore isolation valves required for any wastewater heat recovery installation, and those are the only valves required now. Used to require a double check valve, but that's now been deemed no longer a requirement. Key point from that one is that now we can box this unit in without any serviceable valves going behind that boxing, so no access is required to it. Again, just show you another new development, again for any of you who've had any experience of our products before. So the turbo rotator, which is this sort of white bowl shape at the top there. I'll show you how that worked. Now what we've added at the top of that unit is, instead of a push fit cap, which we used to have, listen to again feedback from installers, and we've now changed that so you actually get a solvent well cap within that as well. Now, a common question we do get with all of our products is about blockages. I just want to show you a little cut through here of the pipe hex. So, there we go, as you can see there. Effectively a large copper tube going straight through the middle of it. So, once we've had, it's been trapped before it's gone to our unit, so that's taken out as much gunk as we possibly can. But obviously we've got a massive surface area there for that wastewater to go through. It'll actually be larger than your standard 1.5 inches, which would come off a standard shower tray. So that box in there that we've got, and a standard box in size for the pipe hex, will be around sort of that 390 by 220, which is only taking the sort of standard internal boxing size up a little bit. If we're thinking of a standard sort of boxing size, they're about 220 square. As I say, we're almost just sort of doubling that. So very, very small footprint for the standard house. Now, I want to show what impact that product there in a new build scenario has. So if we're looking here at a fairly standard 3-bed, 2-bathroom dwelling there with master ensuite with a thermostatic shower in there, family bathroom with just a bath only, so no shower in there at all. In this case, we've got a gas boiler with a 4.5 kilowatt array of PV on the roof. So this is where SAP 10.2 has calculated that almost 50-50 split, a little bit more towards water heating actually, for energy use in that home. Now that product there without wastewater heat recovery scores a 96A, sounds fantastic, but it fails on the dwellings emission rate. If any of you are particularly au fait with SAP, you have to pass in all criteria. So a fail in one area means the property is not compliant at all. So a installation there of that vertical pipe taking up very little room with that fairly simple first fix installation at a low cost as well, around sort of £500 to £600 depending on sort of size of development, ultimately gets us that compliance to build the property there, because we have met now the dwellings emissions rate. So what that installation, or what SAP has calculated for that installation, is a energy demand reduction of, in this case, around 18%, just under 18%, sorry, and a reduction of about 14% in CO2 emissions as well. So a really low cost, but really critical towards SAP installation there. Just before I carry on, have we got any? Is there any questions in the chat about the pipe at all, Craig, or anything like that? Okay, not sure he can hear me, or that's a no, but we'll carry on anyway. We'll certainly have time for questions at the back. So what I've shown you there is the pipe hex. Don't want to pigeonhole it as a completely new build product, but it's certainly seen mostly within that new build market. So let's look now a bit more at existing homes and our products that would very much be in both camps again for either a retrofit or a new build installation, but certainly within retrofit might be a little bit more of an easier retrofit. So just to sort of mention the start here, we've had with this side here, we have a little tour of Norwich and the surrounding area, which is where we are. You see we have numerous EPCs there, all the way from G up to B and even an A at this rate. Now, what you'll see there is the sort of method of travel that we'll go in with sort of new rigs there. Because while we have massive variances in the space heating requirements due to some of the older properties and that, what we're seeing there is hot water, water heating, is fairly standard across the board. So we'll have a look at this C-rated one here, which is where we're getting that split of, again, that 71% to 29 in this percent hot water use, but the actual kilowatt hours is very, very similar to a new build property. But we got the same percentages in terms of showering. So of that 29%, around half of that will be used for showering. We still got that wastage. We still have that 85 to 90% of that heat energy going down the drain. And we still got that potential of us wastewater heat recovery reducing that energy demand by up to 60% per shower. So if we're looking at that in kilowatt hours, we can have between sort of 300 and 700 per annum, kilowatt hours say per annum. So we've put that in terms of loads of washing there. So between sort of 150 to nearly 400 as well. And our products, see, as a SAP listed technology, modelable in SAP and RD SAP, will offer you that EPC point upgrade as well. Potentially between 1 and up to around 4 for that sort of low cost as well. I've mentioned that hot water is mainly the forgotten area within the home when we're looking at sort of the retrofit model. Standardly, everyone looks at air tightness and fabric efficiency first, but as a primary energy demand reduction technology, we feel that wastewater heat recovery should be looked again in that same sort of area, in that minimising energy demand segment of the triangle. Initially, as one of your first measures to reduce that carbon per home. So let's have a little look at our products that may well be used within retrofits. So we're going to start with the EasyFit, which is an under bath unit. So it is for showers over bath. A point to put straight out is you would get no benefit from connecting this to the bath taps themselves. This is for showers over bath. But it sits in that void underneath that bath, so completely no footprint at all. Offers slightly lesser efficiency than the vertical products, but very high for a horizontal unit. That headline figure of around 43% reduction in energy per shower. And it is a very simple installation, whether it be retrofit or new build within sort of single-storey dwellings. A little bit of that is because the unit itself is reversible, which I'll show you in a minute when I take you to the product. And we can get, again, impressive SAP upgrade, SAP and EPC upgrade scores on this for apartments where we've got showers over baths. So let me take you to the product and we'll have a little look here. So here we are. As I say, fitting nicely underneath that bath with no footprint taken up. So the unit itself is just under 1200 mm in length and 386 mm in width. So it fits under a standard, in this case we've got 1700 by 7 bath, but I know we've had case studies where we can even get it under 1500 baths, albeit a little bit of a squeeze. Now, total depth on this one, once we've added this fall through the legs there, takes it to about 95 to 105 mm. So well under the British standard 130 mm for a standard installation. Same valves required as the Pipex, which I previously showed you, and all the other products I will show you today. So a couple of full bore isolation valves, and in this case here, a little drain-off valve at the far end. Now, what you'll notice here in our demo here is we have this central bracing leg. Now, the product, as I say, takes up most of that space underneath that bath. So if you do have a central leg there, it will be required to be braced. Now, in lots of cases where we've got new build, we have worked with the bath manufacturers to create quite a few SKUs now that have this sort of configuration here within the bath SKU itself. So it just allows for a warranty compliant installation, so we're not asking for the contractors themselves to make their own bracing set. Here, if I lift this up, probably shows you easier from this angle here. So, as you can make out, you've got a higher side here and a lower side here. Now I mentioned that the unit is reversible. So in this scenario here, we look towards the bath there, we have got the soil fittings at the tap end of the bath, which we would imagine would be fairly standard. So what you can do is you run from the trap, run it, that yellow pipe like you can see up there, over the unit to come in this far end here, and then that's going through our unit with the fall that you've created through the legs, and then coming off at low level here, close to those soil fittings to make it a bit easier. Now at the same time, you've brought your cold main in to this end, we have the serpentine heat exchanger going through, coming out this end here as preheat feed, which we've marked in orange. If Fantastic. Okay, so that was the Easy Fit. That's a great option there for showers over bath if we're looking at either retrofits or single-story dwellings. Realistically, anywhere that we can't use that vertical pipe to get us that highest efficiency. So we'll look at another horizontal product now, and actually Recoup's newest product within the market, which is the heat deck. Now, this is a integrated shower tray. So a 2-for-1 product there. We've got the shower tray itself, which is a Myra Flight sort of design and aesthetic. So Myra Flight been within the UK for many years, long history of UK produced shower trays. So this product comes from their factory up in Hull. But under the standard shower tray that you'd see, you actually have that wastewater heat recovery exchanger. And a serpentine exchanger similar to what I've just showed you in the Easy Fit. In terms of efficiency, just a smidge lower than the Easy Fit I showed you there, but obviously we do have that bonus that this is a 2-for-1 product, so you have you've got that shower tray and you've got your heat recovery in one product, and it's also it's priced to reflect that as well. And now, as far as end users will see, really, it works in the same way as a normal shower tray, with one sort of no-product section, which is the liftable plinth, which I'll show you in the product in a second. Now, as I mentioned, this product here is fairly new into the market, so we launched this I believe, about 6 months ago, and this has been initially launched in a couple of sizes, which is an 800 square and a 800 by 1200, which sort of research shows that that's where the majority of sort of tray size installations comes from at the moment. And that has been launched as a no upstands flat top, as it shows on top there, and a 4 upstands version as well. There is the ability to look at the 2s and 3s as well for sort of large volume projects. And obviously going into the future, we will look at extending that range out as well. I think I will take you to the product to show you how easy it is to install. So say, for the initial look there, you would say it's a fairly standard shower tray. But we have the notable exception of the exchanger underneath. Now, the exchanger can be accessed by lifting this plinth here. Now, what we have at the start here is a first stage hair capture, which comes out. And supplied with all trays will be the key. Just goes into something there, up and lifts, and then we can lift that plinth there and gain access to that exchanger. Now, what I should say, this plinth itself is manufactured in the same process as the actual shower tray itself, so double capture stone resin, pretty hefty, around 8 kilos, so it's not something that's going to break when someone stands on it. It's very solid. And then to lift that up and out gives you access to the exchanger itself. I'll just show you how this exchanger works. This is a serpentine exchanger, very similar to the Easy Fit under bath I showed you there. So what we have under that first stage hair capture there, that wastewater goes through, comes in, fills these channels all around the heat exchanger itself. Goes all the way through and off and off and off and off until it hits the second stage hair capture here, which is removable as all sort of shower traps are these days. Goes off to the drain as normal. But obviously we have introduced our cold main, connections being underneath the tray itself, so bit difficult to see. But we have connections underneath this lip here. So you introduce your cold main down here and your preheat comes out this end here. Now this isn't actually that much deeper than a standard shower tray, so in this case here this 8x8 is around 80mm in depth, so only around sort of 30 to 40mm deeper than a standard shower tray, but obviously it has that benefit of being a shower tray that effectively it's got to pay for itself over time. Now we have got it here installed on the Myra Riser Kit legs there, which you can do to create an installation if we've got solid floor construction and you cannot channel out at all. However, you certainly can put this on the floor as well, because the only additional connections you've got is that cold main and preheat coming out, so you're already likely to be making room for that shower truck. So I think that shows it best there, where, yeah, we've got it on that Myra Riser Kit for maybe an easier sort of retrofit installation, and at the bottom image there showing maybe more of a new build installation there, where we've got those connections running within the joists. Okay, takes us to our Pipe Hex Active. Didn't really mention this one at the start. But this is a very clever product. So it is effectively a pumped upgrade to our standard vertical pipe hex that allows for that installation to be on the same floor as the shower. It's a very low consumption pump as well. When modelled in SAP, the difference between this and the standard pipe hex is tiny, if anything at all. Now what happens in this scenario here, the water is firstly goes into the Saniflow grey water pump that pumps up to a buffer tank above the unit, which acts as the turbo rotator as well. It pumps in there intermittently, so it's not a pump that's constantly on. It pumps, fills up, turns off. And once that water has reached the buffer tank, it goes through our unit as per gravity, hence why we get exactly the same efficiencies as our standard pipe hex. So it gives you great options for, as I say, retrofit or new build single story dwellings, especially when we really are needing that high efficiency. Quite a flexible application as well. You can have up to a couple of meters between the outlet and the pump itself, and then an additional meter between that pump. So in most cases, we see pump mounted, as I will show you here. Here we go. There. So here's our Pipe Hex Active installation here in our demo room. So as you see, you have that yellow marked pipework going from the outlet there to the pump. Again marked yellow, the water that we pumped up to the top there to this buffer tank that brings that water through the unit as per gravity. Now, as I say, a very clever piece of kit because it does allow for that same story installation with that exactly same efficiency as our vertical pipe hex, so really, really high efficiencies. So we have added a component here that requires electrical feeds to it, and also has a serviceable requirement in line with Saniflow's service requirements for it, which I believe is a biannual flush through descaler, which does mean that this unit does need to be in an accessible position. So you're probably likely to see it in this sort of configuration here, where you've got the shower tray and you've got this void behind the shower here, where you can sight that vertical pipe towards the back, shower pump grey water pump towards the front there, and you may have to have an access panel towards the front here. Now, the trap that's actually supplied with this is a very low profile trap as well, so obviously you're going to require a fall into that pump itself, but you can achieve that at quite low tray height installations if you can site that pump really close to the outlet as well. Fantastic. Okay, so now to look at one of the sort of newer innovations within wastewater heat recovery, which will be the electric shower and the Myra heat loop. So this is the first to market electric shower that can be used with wastewater heat recovery. What happens with this shower here is the technology within it will detect that preheat coming in and will step down power usage as we reach steady state. So this 8.7 kilowatt shower will eventually, within about a minute or so, be running at around 4 kilowatts. Also, unlike most electric showers, it's going to offer you a constant shower flow rate as well, so around 5 to 5.5 litres per minute, so no seasonal variations. And because of that, we're going to save a lot of water when we compare it to a TMV shower, but we're also going to save the electrical costs as well, as I mentioned, because of that stepping down and reaching around that 4 to 5 kilowatt usage level once steady state has been gotten to. So example figures there, if we're looking, we're talking as an easy fit installation coupled with the heat loop there of savings around the sort of £95 to £100 mark per year, and if we can get it installed with the pipe hex, which is obviously the more efficient product, that can go up to around the 130 mark. As I mentioned there, yeah, we have obviously less water usage as well. So this is going into Appendix Q of SAP as we speak. Believe we're in the very final stages of that modelling for being signed off soon as well. But if there are any projects where this really interests you, please reach out to us. We have some pre-release calculations that we will be able to sort of share with you to really show you what sort of impact the two technologies put together will achieve. Now, there is quite a range to the heat loop. So Myra have brought out the Advanced heat loop and the Vista heat loop. Myra Advanced is a shower that's been within the markets for many years, got a really high pedigree behind it. So looking at that maybe as more of a social housing shower, and then they've brought out the more new build market, which would be the Vista, so a little bit more aspirational, with dual outlets and different colours available. Now that as I say is for the new build market, where we see this as a potential great option for new build is it's going to offer you that ability to have a electric shower over bath upgrade, which will be SAP neutral if not SAP positive. Previously, when you're adding an electric shower over bath as an upgrade package, your SAP results are skewed massively because of that use of electric shower. I think these show it here pretty well. Let me just scooch out the way there. So a very similar sort of property that was on the first slides with that pipe hex, where we've got standard 3-bed ensuite and bathroom property. So we start with no wastewater heat recovery at all at a 85. Then we're adding that pipe hex, and it's mirroring the results from earlier, where we have a little bit of an EPC upgrade, but obviously we are hitting all the ticks in the SAP compliance list. But then to look at an upgrade then shower over bath with within that bathroom. So we're adding the heat loop and an easy fit underneath that bath. What we've achieved there is a fantastic upgrade shower over bath that is SAP neutral for relatively small cost. I mean, the combined cost between the heat loop and the easy fit would be around that sort of £800 to £1,000. So, but also, not just to mention the new build market, obviously the retrofit market for now an electric shower, especially in sort of social housing, is a massive area, and all of those showers can be coupled with any of our products. So again, we've looked at a little bit of a model in here where we've got in this case, 2-bedroom flat with just a standard electric shower within it, which starts at an 81 rating. When we are adding the heat loop again with that easy fit, so again we've got that same installation as was showing a minute ago, again at that same sort of cost between £800 and £1,000. We've got a massive EPC upgrade uplift here of 4 points. We're taking it up to an 85. So like I say, this is going within Appendix Q of SAP and RD SAP, and it will be out and modelable very soon. The products themselves are out. Okay, just to take you through the final sort of product range within our portfolio, which is the Drain Plus. So these are linear wet rim drains, again integrated with that WWHRS exchanger within them. And we can get some really great efficiencies out of these. The most efficient gets up to around 57%, which is fairly fantastic. Now, we see this, the majority of installations for this is going to be sort of commercial and leisure centres and gyms and areas like that. Areas of real high shower traffic. But also they're great there when we're looking at level access showering for DDA bathrooms as well. Just to show you a little example here of this is Gym Box in Farringdon a fair few years ago now. Massive shower traffic, need 24 showers a day at 5.5 litres. Now these products have a little bit of a higher initial cost than some of the products I've mentioned already. So within that, or within just over a year, to have that saving of in 2016 around £11,000 and 43 tons of CO2 reduced as well is obviously a real massive benefit. So within this range there are 3 products. They all work in very similar ways with that exchanger within there. The major differences are the depth of the product itself and the efficiencies therefore we can get out of them. So if we're looking here at most efficient, which is Drain Plus Duo HE at the bottom there, needs a combined insulation depth of around 207mm within that screed. But this is a product here that we can hit that sort of 57% efficiency within it. But we do have those slimmer options there with the Drain Plus Duo, which is around 165, and we also have the Drain Plus Compact, which I believe is 137mm. There we go. Just a little cut through there of the exchanger you can see. Within the Drain Plus Duo and the Drain Plus Duo HE, you have a couple of finish options on there as well. So either a tile grate if you're wanting the same slip resistance across the flooring, or a quadrato grate as well, which is a little bit more decorative. And we also have different outlet options on these as well. So you can either have an option that would go horizontally out, or can go vertically straight down if you've got a pop-up drain available straight underneath it. Just a couple more images there from the Farringdon project, but what you can see there is we have an installation where it is one wastewater heat recovery unit for one shower and also one that feeds the 2 showers. I think these schematics show it a bit better there. So really adds that sort of cost effectiveness when you can literally, within cubicles, put one unit feeding and then send that preheating feed to 2 showers as a system B, which we'll be looking at in sort of these larger projects. Right, we are very much getting towards the end of this now. So just really to mention that all of Recoup's products are available via merchants. We don't sell direct, so you'd have to go to your preferred merchant. But we are stock held at the likes of City Plumbing, Wolseley, Graham's now. But any merchant has the ability to sort of trade with us. And all these products are held within our UK distribution. As I say, the heat deck units are made within the UK, and the other products are made within the Netherlands as well. So, you know, we're not talking any long sort of lead times on any product. Okay, we have hit the final slide. So, leaves me to say thank you very much for your time. And Craig, have we got any questions in the chat at all?
The only question was around price, which I've tried to give a bit of guidance on, but I don't know if you've got anything to add on that.
In terms of pricing for what sort of products were we?
It wasn't specified. I've given a rough idea of unit prices for easy fits and high pexes, but I said we can offer cost based on volume, essentially. Contract support available. So if you want to just basically get in touch with us, we can provide sort of budget costs or quotes via merchants.
Yep, fantastic.